Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-Tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Ay, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Ay, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What is up, everyone, and welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly recap of all things Seattle hockey and beyond. My name is Matt.
I'm Alex.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Derek.
And we are now in episode 30. Yes, the big 3-0. Thank you to everyone who has joined us this far. Whether this is your first episode or your 30th episode, we love having you along on this ride for us. And on this episode today, we are going to be looking forward to the future. In episode 30, we're going to be taking a look at our pending free agents who are currently on the Seattle Kraken roster and give our thoughts on what should be done with these players. However, we have some big news that dropped last week that we must address at the top of the show. On Thursday, the Seattle Kraken announced the signing of the franchise's third head coach in Lambert. Now, I personally don't have a ton of knowledge on this guy or takes to share, so instead I'm just going to drop some quick facts on you before tossing to everyone else in the room here. Lambert debuted in the NHL in 1983 with the Detroit Red Wings and was the 25th pick overall in that year's draft. He played in the NHL until 1989, also logging time with the Rangers and the Nordiques. In his NHL playing career, he played in 283 games where he had 58 goals and 124 total points. As a coach, Lambert's most recent season was spent as an associate coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 2024-25 season, where the team achieved a record of 52 wins, 26 losses, and 4 overtime losses. And they were knocked out in the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs by the Florida Panthers. Prior to this, he spent 6 seasons in the New York Islanders organization, including 127 games as the head coach, going 61, 46, and 20, before being relieved of his duties midway through the 2023-24 season. In his time with the Islanders, he made it to the playoffs 4 times. Lastly, before this, he spent 4 years as assistant coach to the Washington Capitals, where the team won a Stanley Cup in 2018, and 4 years before that as assistant coach to the Nashville Predators. He does have a few Kraken connections on the new team that he's going to be leading, including captain Jordan Eberle from his time with the Islanders prior to the expansion draft, as well as Chandler Stevenson, Andrei Burakovsky, and Philip Grubauer in his time with the Capitals. His previous relationship with Ebbs led to the captain being consulted in the process of signing him on as a head coach, with Kraken GM Jason Botterill saying in a statement to the Seattle Times, quote, "He was excited about bringing Lane on. Thinks it's a really good fit for our organization from that standpoint. With him being our captain, I wanted him involved in the process," end quote. And speaking about the new coach, the captain said to NHL.com, quote, "Look at the pedigree of what he's done, the number of playoff series he's been a part of, and the Stanley Cup, all of it. Lane's had a lot of success, and we're lucky to have him," end quote. I personally am feeling a little more reassured to hear Jordan Eberle's endorsement of Lambert as the coach. When explaining his reasoning behind the selection, new Kraken GM Jason Botterill told Kate Shefty of the Seattle Times, quote, "It's a situation to me where he's continuing to develop. He's very similar to us as an expansion team. He's getting a second chance as a head coach. That's what a lot of our players and a lot of our staff members in this organization are getting right now," end quote. I would strongly recommend you go out and check Kate's article on this interview and about the signing. If you want more details about Lambert joining on, it was a really great read. It's also worth noting that there were rumors leading up to the decision that the reason why there was such a delay in selecting our third head coach was because contenders had an issue with the organization's decision and insistence to keep assistant coach Jessica Campbell on the coaching staff. Botterill denied this rumor and also denied any rumors that the team had offered the job to anyone else. Now, like I said before, I don't really have anything to say about Lane Lambert as a person. I know some of us here certainly have feelings about him. How are you guys feeling about the new bench boss?
What do I think about Lane Lambert? I think it's a mediocre hiring. There are far better NHL head coaches available right now, or who could be available in the coming days that the Kraken could possibly look at. But you're also looking at an organization right now that's scraping the bottom of the barrel. And I think that's where we're at with the Kraken. Lane Lambert it's a sideways move. Like it's a move that realistically fixes or can fix key components that was missing with the team last year, but it's going to run a deficit in other ways. Now, if you look at it, Lambert's a defensively sound coach. Like that's kind of primarily where he focuses on. And the Kraken struggled horrifically in the defensive zone last year. But offensively, Lambert's not that type of coach. So are we going to see a withdrawal of offense from this team? And so that's where I'm kind of in this situation where I don't think this makes sense for kind of a signing. Because realistically speaking, and I know it's blunt to say, I'm waiting for when we announce the firing of Lane Lambert, because I don't think we see him here with the Kraken for the whole season. That's absolutely brutal to say, but he lasted 1.5 years on the island with the Islanders and was fired about 45 games into his second season. That was 2 years ago. So there's not a lot of confidence going into next season with Lambert behind the bench. And that's just my brutally honest take about it. It's such a Botterill signing. It really is. Botterill just sends me back to when he was the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres. And I just can see this happening all over again, but with the Seattle Kraken. And that's one of the things I'm not looking forward to. And that's one thing that I'm extremely worried about, is that Lane Lambert's just a very mediocre, I would say, bottom-esque type hire. And we missed out on a lot of better coaches. But also, who wants to take the job in Seattle? You fired Dave Haxtell, you fired Dan Bylsma back-to-back seasons. And I will say it again, Lambert is a sideways hire because, in my opinion, I'd rather keep a coach like Bylsma, give him another year, because what he's done with Coachella, and you didn't really give him the opportunity this year, realistically speaking. The team that was brought in to play this year was not good, and Dan Bylsma did what he could with his team. Sure, he could have pivoted here and there, but he didn't. But to fire him just seems downright piss poor, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm not too excited to hear and see what the Kraken are going to be under Lane Lambert. I could be completely wrong, and I could be shooting myself in the foot at the end of the season, but I wasn't wrong about last season, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
I think Lane Lambert makes perfect sense for this organization that is still struggling to find one thing, and that's identity. It seems like the organization has continued to kick the can down the road, making a move that has a chance of ending up with Seattle finding this identity, but I find it to be unlikely. Lambert is a mid-coach. I don't mean that in a bad way. He's by no means a bad coach. He had about a .500 record as a head coach in the NHL, which is not the worst thing in the world. And since then, he's had more experience on a good Toronto team as an associate coach. I think a head coach is not the end-all, be-all that some people think it is. As we've seen, most teams in the NHL start to fire the coach after 2 to 3 years tops. Hopefully, in an ideal world here, Lambert is truly able to grow with the Kraken, like J-Bot said, and we can see two identities emerge in sync.
Alrighty, let's now get back to our regularly scheduled programming. As mentioned at the top of the episode, today we are going to be taking a look at the current pending free agents for the team. We'll be breaking this down into two sections where we have restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents. Derek, for someone like me who is a little green to this and gets the terms mixed up all the time, would you mind offering an explanation to myself and the listeners as to what the difference is between these two types of players?
Absolutely, Matt. Okay, this is extremely basic, and I'm going to try to not overcomplicate things here. Unrestricted free agent means you are a free agent that can sign with any team at any time, and it's what people think of when they think of a free agent. Restricted free agent means you are a free agent that the team has special rights over. The main right here is that any offer that is made to a restricted free agent is able to be matched by the team that owns the restricted free agent's rights. For example, since Ryker Evans is a restricted free agent that we own the rights to, if San Jose offered him a 2-year, $4 million AAV contract, the Kraken would have the ability to match that offer and retain Ryker, even if he wanted to go to the Sharks. This is called the first right of refusal. This contract offered by the Sharks would be called an offer sheet. The Kraken in this case would have 7 days to match that offer made by San Jose, or Ryker could then sign with them, or any team that made him an offer that the Kraken did not match within 7 days. In order to maintain the rights to a restricted free agent, you have to make what is called a qualifying offer before the Monday after the NHL entry draft or June 25th, whichever is later. Qualifying offers are generally the same as what the player had been previously making and are generally just placeholders to maintain the rights while negotiations continue. For example, Matty Beniers was given a qualifying offer of $875,000 just weeks before signing his $7.15 million per year deal.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for that. So let's dive in to these players on our roster. We're going to start with those restricted free agents. And just to note for all the things coming up, the source that I pulled these contract infos from is Puckpedia. So that's where all these numbers come from. First up in this batch, we have Ryker Evans, who this season made $897,500. Ryker Evans joined the Seattle Kraken as a second-round pick in the 2021 NHL Draft. This season was his first full season with the organization. He played 73 games, he had 5 goals and 20 assists. He didn't have the most productive or jaw-dropping season this time around, so how do we feel about Garth's future with the team?
Ryker Evans is a really interesting one to me because if you'd asked me at the start of the season or even sort of midway through the season, I would have said, yes, like if we don't sign him, we're dumb. Like we really need to sign him. And I don't know, I guess maybe the end of the season just wasn't as productive as I thought he was going to be. I do think, I'm trying to give him some grace just because, like we talked about, it's his first full season and he was definitely playing well. So I think extending him is still something that I'm okay with. Especially considering some of the moves we've already made and people we've signed. It seems like they're sort of committed to keeping some of these people around, and I think he's probably one of those. So, we'll see what happens, but I think we'll probably see Ryker around for a while. And, I might be wrong because I'm often wrong, but that's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Oh, Garth. Garthy. He is a very interesting player as to how this offseason could go when it comes to a contract year for him. Because he's an RFA, technically speaking, any team in the NHL can come in after him and, offer him a deal. But realistically speaking, I think he's going to sign a bridge deal with the Kraken. 73 games, 5 goals, 20 assists. It's nothing that's going to woo the pants off of 31 other teams in the NHL. He is a young defenseman, but has room to grow. So that's why I really do see this as a bridge deal. I'm looking at maybe a 2 or 3 year deal, 2.5, maybe $3 million. Like he's going to get a bump, and that's something that's guaranteed. But I'm looking around that 2.5, and that's what I think is a safe bet. I probably would sit at, you're probably going to see a contract around like 2 years, 2.75 mil, and that's what I would be shocked if it was any higher than that. If I'm the Kraken, I'm not going to offer a long-term deal. I think offering long-term deals to RFAs is a terrible idea unless they are absolute studs. Yes, Derek, I said absolute stud. The Matty Beniers contract of last season is something that I'm still getting the ick about because I still don't believe that Beniers is playing to that level. So if you offer Ryker Evans some type of contract like that, I think it is going to be a negative contract down the line. So have him prove it. Give him a 2, give him a 3-year deal and say, hey, we're going to reward you with an increase in salary, but you got to prove it. You want to stay here long term, or you want to make a big buck down the line? Prove it. You got 3 years to do so.
I mentioned just how good Garth's season was when you factor in he was a 23-year-old rookie offensive defenseman that was part of 25 goals on a struggling team. I think this next season will be huge to see if there is progression or stagnation. He was also solid defensively this year, according to metrics such as allowing the least amount of expected goals against among all defensemen on the Kraken last year. I want a 1 to 2 year deal at a couple million per year here. Let's see if he blossoms into a light Vince Dunn or hell, maybe a light Cale Makar, please.
For me, I think if you listen back to last week's episode when we talked about the defense and goalies, we weren't really super high on how Ryker did this season. He had some ups, but he also had some big drops in production. So I hope that we have some sort of shorter term deal for him to kind of hold him over, let him prove himself over a couple years instead of a big fat juicy contract. So we'll just have to wait and see. I would like him to prove himself, and then if he does an awesome job, get himself a big payday after that. Next up, I think this is a very exciting one. We have the very surprising trade acquisition that came this season with Kaapo Kakko, who this season made $2.4 million. Kaapo Kakko was a very shocking acquisition for the Kraken this season. He joined the team in December in a trade that I don't think anyone can say that they saw coming, with him swapping places with inaugural season defenseman Will Borgen. With the Kraken this season, Kakko played in 49 games where he had 10 goals and 20 assists. Across the whole season, however, including his time with the Rangers, he played in 79 games and he hit 14 goals and 30 assists. The fan base seems really high on this guy, and spoiler alert, so are we. So I'm gonna just guess that we're all unanimous in keeping him around, yes?
Yes, I think we all agree we have to keep Kaapo Kakko around. Like, I don't know why it's taken this long to sign him again. Like, what are we waiting for? I do not understand. This guy needs to stay on the team. I don't really even care the cost. I mean, I do, but like, we need we need him to stay. He was such a good fit. I was so impressed by him. And I think he was a great asset to the team. He played quite a few games, but even still, like, it was not even anywhere near a full season. And I want to see him on the Kraken for a full season. So definitely re-sign Kaapo Kakko. And I don't know why we haven't done it yet. Like, it needs to happen today.
Kakko's 30 points through 49 games with the Kraken this year are just a glimpse at what could be on a full season with the Kraken. I have huge expectations from Kakko in the coming years and would love to see a roughly 3-year deal at around $5 million. Regardless of my inability to fairly assess contract values, please, Kraken, do anything possible to keep this guy around. I am begging you.
Kaapo Kakko. Still can't believe he's a Kraken. The fact that we were able to swing that trade still blows my mind. That's one of the trades that I will give Ron Francis credit for. Oh my gosh. Because he did pull out a rabbit out of his hat. Like, it was an impressive deal. So the fact that we have Kaapo Kakko for a full season next year, hopefully, is something to look forward to. 49 games played, 10 goals, 20 assists. In total, he had the best season of his career. And to think what he could have done with the Kraken for a full season is exciting, because I would have loved to see him play a full 82 games with the Kraken last season. That's something that we are very excited to see next season. In terms of a deal for him, I would give him a bridge. Give him a prove-it deal. He's going to make more money still here. I think he could easily make like that $4.5 million over 3 years. It would take him to the UFA, but it would also be a prove-it deal for him. Because realistically speaking, he hasn't had any season that have really wooed the socks off of anybody. It's been more like, yeah, he's promising, he's good. There's been debate when he was with the Rangers if he was going to amount to anything unoffensively. He comes to Seattle and he has the grit, he has the tenacity that, the Kraken need. So give him 3 years, give him like $4.5 million, and let him run. And at the end of the contract, if he is progressing and is playing great, and the team and him come to a deal that they want to extend him for a longer period, why not? But I don't think any long-term deal for this player as well is going to happen. It's going to be a bridge. 4.5, $4 million. That's my take. The Kraken have to be very careful on what they're going to be offering, because they don't want to get caught in this area where they're offering mediocre sized players, $5 million plus contracts, because then you just bunch up too many players with medium length contracts and size wise for cap space. So I think Kakko is going to be one of the better players on the team next year. So Give him a 3-year deal. Give him $4.5 million. It's a almost double the cap that he's currently on, and it's a pay increase for him. So why not do it?
I think signing Kaapo Kakko has to be priority number one. Now, I know we already had some signings that we're going to talk about a little bit later here that went down already this offseason, I guess, well, our early offseason. But maybe that's just Jason Botterill making sure the ink in his pen works for when he breaks out that checkbook. I want us to lock down Kaapo Kakko for as long as we can. I've read lots of things that, he probably doesn't want to sign a super long-term deal so he can hit UFA status. But if we can lock him down for a couple years at a little bit of a pay raise for him to really incentivize him that he's a part of this team, I'm all for it. Let's make it happen. The final RFA we have is Tye Kartye, who this year made a very specific amount of $859,167. Tye Kartye has had a really interesting NHL journey, as we talked about a few episodes ago. After going undrafted, he joined the Coachella Valley Firebirds in 2022 on a 3-year entry-level contract. In his first season with the Birds, he led all rookies with 57 points in 72 games and was named to the AHL Rookie All-Star team. He was also awarded the Dudley Red Garrett Memorial Award for the Most Outstanding Rookie. During the Kraken's first and only showing in the Stanley Cup Playoffs, Jared McCann went down with an injury in the series against the Colorado Avalanche, and Kartye got the call to come in and fill that position. In his first NHL game, in the playoffs no less, Kartye scored one of my all-time favorite goals. I can watch that clip of Nathan MacKinnon throwing a hissy fit that results in the Kartye goal all day. It never ceases to bring a smile to my face. This season really wasn't the best for Tye, often finding himself in the press box as a scratch or even down in Coachella Valley for a couple games. He managed to play 63 games this season where he recorded 6 goals and 7 assists, and I'm curious, where do you think Tye Kartye's story goes from here?
Tye can go do his hockey stuff somewhere else. I believe J-Bots mentioned a willingness to keep Tye around in his Q&A. I might have tried to delete that from my memory already, but outside of his magical playoff debut like 17 million years ago, I don't see any value in this guy. If it's minimum, keep him for a year or two, but anything more than that, see ya.
I think Tye Kartye is one of those players that you either love him or you hate him. I still think Tye Kartye has a place on this team. Sure, it could be the fourth line, but I definitely think that he's been underutilized by both coaches previously. Hackstall gave him the greatest opportunity in the playoffs, and he capitalized the ever-loving daylights out of it. And then when he was back with the team, he kind of just floated into a fourth-line role, wasn't given a lot of opportunities, and that's where he stood. And it's same with Dan Bylsma. Fourth line, healthy scratch. Like, you're not going to be doing much when you're not able to play. And he's still a young kid. Like, let's not think that he's like some 39-year-old, Yanni Gourde in 6 years once his contract's up with the Lightning. Like, we're talking about a kid. Like, there's still something there that can be developed. So, in my opinion, I think Kartye's probably going to get a 1-year extension. It's nothing too much. He's probably going to float between Coachella and Seattle next year. And he could be that healthy scratch. He could be that 13th forward on the team. And that's just kind of where it's at. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this offseason with Tye Kartye, because he could be one of the players that the Kraken just simply say, thank you for what you've done with this team. Thank you for what you did during your first NHL playoffs when we called you up. But it's just not working out. We wish you the best of luck. Or they might go, Tye, we believe in you. We want to give you another opportunity. I don't know what's going to happen. 63 games, 6 goals, 7 assists, fourth line player. Give him an opportunity. Like, honest to goodness, I don't know what this team is going to do this offseason. They keep mentioning we're going to be active. We're going to be, aggressive in the offseason. And I just don't buy it. So if they don't actually act aggressively, maybe give some of the younger players opportunities up front. Like, I'm not saying put Kartye on the top line. I'm saying give Kartye maybe third line minutes just for the heck of it and just see what happens. But yeah, I think Kartye may get another deal for 1 year as a prove it again, but I think he's starting to make a name for himself as like that fourth line AHL on the bubble type player with the Kraken. And if I'm him, maybe I'm just requesting a trade out of here. Maybe I'm just going to say, I'll keep taking these, 1-year deals just so when I get to UFA, I can get out of here. And that might be another thing that he's looking at.
Poor Tye Kartye. I'm such a big fan of his, and I have been, since the moment really that we saw him come on the scene. But I don't know. He kind of struggled, I feel like. But I also think I'm having a hard time judging the season a lot because I feel like there was a disconnect with systems and the players and the coach and all of that. And I don't blame any piece of that. I just think it wasn't coming together, which is one of the reasons why I wasn't a fan of getting rid of the coach after 1 year. But that's neither here nor there, but I do wonder if that's part of it, that he was having a hard time sort of fitting into whatever system was being, put in front of him. But I don't know what we do with Tye Kartye. Like, I just like him so much, so it's hard to say he should go. But I guess what I'll say is that if he does go, I won't be super surprised. I'll be upset as a fan, but I don't know that I'll be super surprised. So I don't know. We'll see about him. He's a tough one, I think.
So this is a tough one because I feel Tye is one that I'd like to see stick around. I love his story, like I said when I introed him here, but I also would not be heartbroken if he wasn't picked up again, and hopefully someone else sees the value in him and would pick him up. I said in our forward performance review that I feel he's top shelf AHL and just kind of bottom rung NHL. He hasn't quite broken through to become a star or anything like that. Maybe he's just a career fourth line guy. Maybe he's a career AHL guy. And like Heather said before, there's nothing wrong with playing in the AHL. So won't be heartbroken if we don't see him back around. There's plenty of people I'm sure that we could have fill his spot. So I'm just going to wait this one out. I'm not too set on it. The fastest game on ice just hit another gear. Welcome to the Stanley Cup Playoffs, where legends are made and every shift could turn the tide. And now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can take every slapshot, breakaway, and overtime thriller to the next level. New to betting on the Stanley Cup Playoffs? You're in for an exciting time. Getting started is a breeze. Fire up DraftKings Sportsbook app, pick your team to win, lock in your wager, and you're off to the races. It's fast, simple, and puts you right in the middle of the action. Here's the kicker. New customers who bet just $5 will score $300 in bonus bets if their wager hits. That's right, turn $5 into a playoff payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. That's promo code THPN to unlock $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bet wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
So to break up the two sections here, we're going to talk about Firebirds who have contracts coming up this season. And Heather, I'm going to kick it over to you to tell us what Firebirds we have pending.
From the Firebirds world, we now only have one RFA, and that's Cale Fleury. And the reason that is because Ben Myers was an RFA until Monday morning when the team said that he was signed to a 1-year, one-way extension for $750K AAV. Both of them did play with the Kraken this season. Ben Myers had 0 points in the 8 games he played. Cale Fleury had 1 point in the 14 games he played. And I think both of them probably played just better in Coachella in general. Ben Myers had 23 goals and 28 assists for 51 points in 57 games with Coachella. And Fleury, he's one of our OG members of the Kraken expansion draft. He has a contract of $800K, saw 7 goals and 19 assists in his 39 games played. How do you all feel about the Myers extension and what should happen with Cale Fleury?
Cale Fleury, I'm pretty sure, has so many points for flying. It's absolutely insane. Because that man was called up and sent back down, left, right, and center. Sure, it's paper transaction. Yeah, but you know what? I'm just envisioning Cale Fleury getting on a plane and landing in Seattle, then being told, hey, you're going back to Coachella, get back on that plane. So that's what I kind of think of Cale Fleury and just his time with the Kraken last season. One point in 14 games. But like I said, he was kind of like that, we need to call you up, we need to send you down type player. I think they're going to give him a contract. I don't know what it's going to be. Probably league min, because he's great with Coachella, but he's nearing a place with the Kraken where he's probably not going to crack the NHL lineup. He's probably going to play top line minutes with the Firebirds yet again next season. So could easily be a piece that you extend that 1 year and just kind of see what happens. Realistically speaking, that's all I got on Cale Fleury, unfortunately. He just hasn't had a lot of success at the NHL level, but he also hasn't had a lot of opportunities. So, you can only do so much with the time that you have, and he just hasn't had any opportunities, so to speak. In regards to Myers in his contract, Ben Myers in his contract, I like it. He's definitely a player that when you need a fourth line guy, you can call him up. I didn't expect him to get an extension. He's one of the players I did not expect to get the extension. So to see him get that extension, he's going to play, in Coachella probably for most of the season next year. But in the off chance that we need to call up somebody on an emergency basis, or if one of the top players goes down and we need to call somebody up to replace a fourth line player, there's Ben Myers for you. So it's definitely a great depth piece, but it's nothing to about. It's just Ben Myers, and no offense, Ben, but that's just kind of how I feel about it.
The Myers extension, I think, is pretty good. He was a nice kind of back and forth guy that we had on this team, including someone that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So seeing him get another year where he can maybe bounce back and forth between the two teams as needed is awesome. Cale Fleury, I think it's cool that he is one of our inaugural expansion draft guys, but he's not one that I get super hyped over. He seems to do well in the AHL, and again, maybe he's just one of those career AHL guys, but when he comes up to the big show and he had 1 point in 14 games, that's not super great. I wouldn't be upset if he gets the Cole Lynn treatment from last year and he gets sent to another team, or he gets picked up by another team. And if he's around, cool, maybe he can keep kind of grinding it out and find himself some playtime up on the main roster.
I mean, personally, I love Cale Fleury so much. I actually really liked the Fleury brothers in general. I think he is a great fit to be that defender who could maybe play or not, but I do feel like he spent so much time in the press box over his career that, I don't know, if he has a chance to play somewhere else and get actual playing time, then I think that's better for him. I'm thrilled with the Ben Myers extension, though. I think that's a great fit. And again, this team seems to be wanting to hang on to some of these depth pieces and do it for a cost that's very, cap friendly. So I'm totally okay with that. And I think Ben Myers is a great one to do that with. So as far as unrestricted free agents in Coachella, I want to talk about a group of players because they are all currently on contracts for $775K. So these include John Hayden, Luke Henman, Brandon Biro, Gustav Olofsson, Max Lajoie, Nick Bouillard, and Alex Stezka. Only John Hayden and Alex Stezka actually played with the Kraken this season, and we learned on Wednesday last week that John Hayden did sign a 2-year one-way deal with the team. So that's one name already off the board, already going to stay. But any thoughts on these particular players and how they fit into the system?
So I want to open up by saying that I am so pumped that John Hayden is back around. The bodyguard, the enforcer, or whatever name we attach to him. We're a big fan of him around here, and I'm excited to see him bring that grit to the fourth line again whenever he finds his way up from Coachella Valley. I'm very excited that it was a 2-year deal for him. That's awesome. Give him some security there. And yeah, like I said, looking forward to see him play some time on the Kraken if the chance presents itself. In terms of these other guys, if I were to pick one that I want to keep hanging around, I'm sure many of them are going to find time in Coachella Valley still, but Max Lajoie is one that pops out to me. I'm I often think too, when we have our Desert Dialogue segments and Alex and Heather are recapping those games, I felt his name came up quite a bit. So good on him. He's doing really well. Maybe he can crack a one-off chance on the Kraken roster next year. We'll see. The other guys, don't know a whole lot about. Not super stoked on them, so it doesn't really matter. Alex Stezka, he's getting up there in age, at least by standards of us wanting to look for maybe a younger team. And I think that Nicky Coco looks a lot better for us down the line than him. So maybe he gets the bump and we call up Victor Osman from Kansas City to back up Nicky Coco next season. I don't know. We'll see. We're just going to have to wait that one out.
First off, I love the fact that we extended the bodyguard. John Hayden deserves fourth line minutes with the Seattle Kraken. That man eats nails for breakfast. Like, I would not want to stand in a room with him and just him like pissed off and being like, I'm gonna kill you, because I'm pretty sure he could. So love the John Hayden signing. He is the bodyguard. He will beat the living tar out of you if need be. Now for the other UFAs with Coachella, you have Luke Henman, the original Kraken. You're probably going to extend him. Why not? 1 year. He is an AHL player. So if he wants to possibly be like, I am not an AHL player, I want to be an NHL player, he might just be like, I'm not going to sign an extra contract with the Kraken. I'm going to see what there's out there. But at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked to see him get an extension for a year. Him signing that deal. Brandon Biro, I'm 50-50 on. Did some stuff in Coachella, didn't do anything with the Kraken. I feel like there's going to be other options out there anyways, so I would let Biro walk. Gustav Olofsson, you know what? He's an older defenseman, but he's integral on the back end, and he is an AHL journeyman, so you can sign him. Max Lajoie was fantastic with Coachella, but at the same time, he's an AHL journeyman as well. Same with Nicolas Brouillard. I think you're going to choose one of the three of those defensemen, because I think there is the possibility that you're going to get more young players coming up in Coachella over the next year or two, or you can sign a player that can play with Coachella. And, you don't want to have a bunch of older players take up the spots for developing players coming in. Alex Stezka, he's as good as gone. We have other goaltenders that are coming up through our ranks that have a better and a higher ceiling than Stezka. He just wasn't given the opportunities that were needed to, show what he had at the NHL level. He was literally hung out to dry in the one opportunity that he had, but I wouldn't be shocked to see if Alex Stezka goes back to Europe.
I think for me, Luke Henman is just a serial AHLer, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I do think that's where he will be and will stay. So I think with Coachella, it's a great fit. He's actually our first ever player signed to the Kraken, which is kind of one of the things I always remember about him. So I think he's one of those that we'll see just, with AHL, and that's totally fine. John Hayden, thrilled about having him back. I really like Hayes. I think he fills a great role, so thrilled about that one. And then, we have some players that played extremely well in the AHL this season, like Max Lajoie and Nick Brouillard, obviously. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. Gustav Olofsson is somebody who may be on the cusp of moving up to the Kraken, but again, I'm just not 100% sure on that one. Like, I think he's a great player. I just don't know if he might need, I just don't know if it's time yet. So that'll be interesting. And gosh, the goalie situation, if we're talking about like Stezka, I mean, I think I've talked the goalie situation to death over the last several podcasts. So I don't know what is going to happen there. So I think I'm just going to say we're just going to have to wait and see on that one.
All right, and to close out our pending free agents, we now have the unrestricted free agents. And we already kind of had a spoiler on this first one that we had to go into our notes and switch up earlier in the week when we found out that Josh Mahura has lost his pending tag as a free agent. Josh Mahura came to the Seattle Kraken in 2024 free agency, coming over with his Florida Panthers teammate Brandon Montour. While the Stanley Cup winner did not record any goals this season, he did contribute 9 assists in the 64 games that he played. Muzzy saw his playtime increase pretty substantially following the trade of Will Borgen, but then he found himself being cycled out with Ryker Evans and Cale Fleury towards the end of the season. On May 30th, it was announced that Muzzy had signed a 2-year extension with an AAV of $907,500. Leading up to this, I thought that we'd maybe get lucky if he signed one more year at around $1 million. So I feel this deal that was landed on is a really nice win for both sides, as Muzz gets a pay increase from the last season and he gets 2 years, while the Kraken pay a little less than maybe was expected of them. So same kind of deal as John Hayden before. I'm glad that he got a couple years of term on this contract. How are you folks feeling about the Mahura extension?
I love the Mahura extension so freaking much. He is Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Anchor. He is Mr. Kraken defense man, and I love him. He goes out there and he plays defense. He reminds me a lot of Will Borgen, who was my favorite player 2 years ago, because he just goes out there and plays freaking solid defense, man. I love this contract too. It's so cheap and allows us flexibility, which is mandatory with these salary caps.
I absolutely freaking love the Josh Mahura extension. 2 years for the guy. The guy plays that bottom 6 role perfectly. He is the best bottom 2 pair defenseman that this team has. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He is a hard-hitting defensive defenseman. Sure, he didn't score a goal last season. I don't care. But when, Dunn went down, when other things occurred, he came right in. When Borgen left and he officially got ice time, he made his presence known. I really like Mahura. I like the signing. I can see it working really well. I think he's going to be one of those defensemen that, like I said, doesn't show up on the score sheet often or ever, but is going to be a presence on the ice in multiple different ways.
Josh Mahura, total win there. Great price point for him. I think he, again, just stepped up and really played a fantastic role after Borgie left. And I think I really liked his play. So, we're talking about some of these players like Cale Fleury, etc. I think Josh Mahura might be the one that edges those players out. And I think that's kind of where he's sitting right now. But I'm really happy to have him back. Like, that's a great fit for the team. And I think, that's just a fantastic choice and a fantastic price in terms, all of that.
And our final one, a guy that wasn't even on our radar prior to this season. I'm pretty sure probably not even on many Tampa Bay Lightning fans' radars, is Mikey Eyssimont, who this season made $800,000. Mikey Eyssimont joined the Kraken at the trade deadline in a transaction that saw Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand leave the team for the Tampa Bay Lightning. None of us really had any expectations for Mikey when he put on the Kraken blue. Like I said, when we first signed him, I thought he was just going to be some nothing guy that got lumped in just to fill out the trade sheet a little bit. But I found myself pleasantly surprised by him. In the 20 games that he played with the Kraken, he recorded 4 goals and 2 assists. Derek said a couple weeks ago that he thought that number was way higher, and I kind of did too, but the goals that he did score just seemed that substantial, I guess. So hopefully we can keep him around and get a full season of him having nice goals and highlights like that. In total, for the 2024-25 season, he played in 77 games where he had 9 goals and 7 assists. I think he brought a real Spitfire quality to this team that we are lacking in the departure of Yanni Gourde and Brandon Tanev, and I find that very valuable, especially with the reduced price tag. So personally, for me, I'd like to see him hang around, give him a little pay boost, let him get some grinding time in on the 4th line, and let's see Ace kind of ruffle some feathers and stir some stuff up. How are we all feeling about Eyssimont?
Not super huge on Eyssimont, but I think he brings some cool vibes and hard work, and is definitely an NHL player. So at an extremely low or minimum rate, I'm fine with him.
Mikey Eysimont's another one that I'm like, let's just get this extension going, please, because I think he is fantastic. I think he was another one that was a great fit, and I really liked him on the team. And I've said before, I did not know him or really anything about him. But I think that he really played well for us, and I'm excited to see going forward whatever he does. And I really do hope it's with the Kraken, because I liked him. I liked his attitude. I liked everything about his play and his tenacity, like I've said. And I think, this is somebody that we can get for a very reasonable price tag, a very reasonable cost and terms. And I think we should do it.
Eyssimont. Mikey Eyssimont. I really do hope they extend him. I don't know. Some people have told me it's a 50-50 hit and miss with Eyssimont. I really like him. He's someone, and his personality on the ice is something that the Kraken don't have. Like, he's willing to kind of be an absolute shit disturber when it needs to be. And I think that's one of the things I really like about him. Also, he actually did pretty good with the Kraken when he got traded. Like, he scored 4 goals and 2 assists, but like, that was in 20 games. And no offense, I swear that Eyssimont got more goals and more assists during the time that he was with the Kraken than Andre Burakovsky was in those 20 games. So I like the guy. I think you're going to have to give him a higher contract in, salary wise. Like, I could totally see you signing him to like a $1.2 million deal opposed to $800,000, but it's something that you might just have to sacrifice, because I don't know about you. Fourth line that has Mikey Eyssimont and John Hayden on it, I'm okay with, because let's be serious here. The Kraken aren't going to be good next year. I know. Everybody just said, oh, shut the heck up, Alex. It's the truth. But if you have a fourth line of Mikey Eyssimont and John Hayden, you could enjoy some hockey, because those two guys could become the Bash Brothers of Seattle. And I am all for it. So, Botterill, just do it. Re-sign Mikey Eyssimont.
That'll do it for our pending free agent roundup, and we're going to get into some quick rapid fire news items here to close out the show for this week. To open things up, we had some big news on the PWHL front today, so I'm going to toss it over to Heather to fill you in on the big developments that happened in the PWHL world today.
So we have some very exciting updates. So we now know the players that the 6 inaugural teams have put on their protected list, so it is very interesting. So I thought I would share these with everyone. So first of all, from the Sirens, they protected forward Sarah Fillier, defender Ella Shelton, and defender Micah Zandy Hart. From the Frost, they protected forward Kendall Coyne-Schofield, forward Taylor Heisey, and defender Lee Stecklin. From the Fleet, they protected goalie Aaron Frankel, defender Megan Keller, and forward Elena Muller. From the Scepters, they protected defender Renata Fast, forward Blair Turnbull, and forward Daryl Watts. From the Charge, the ones that were protected were forward Emily Clark, goalie Gwyneth Phillips, and defender Ronya Sevolanian. And then from the Victoire, we had goalie Anne Renee Debian, forward Marie Philip Poulian, and forward Laura Stacy. So I think we were all pretty surprised to see some names not on this list, like Hillary Knight, Alex Carpenter, and Corinne Schroeder. Like those, I am really hoping that Seattle might be able to maybe scoop those players up, and I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed and my eyes on the social media sphere to hopefully see some of these players on our Seattle team, because wow, that would be super exciting. But we are getting so close to the PWHL, and I'll have some more updates for you coming soon.
Perfect, Heather. Thank you. It is going to be a very exciting week as we finally find out the first 12 names that are going to become Seattle, whatever they're going to be, PWHL, Seattle inaugural team members. Very exciting stuff. In terms of the rest of the news, we are all set for the Stanley Cup final, and we have a rematch from last year on deck as the Edmonton Oilers won the West, and they are going on to meet the defending champ Florida Panthers out of the East. With the Stanley Cup final set, we now know the finalized list of Seattle Kraken picks at this year's NHL Draft. Big thank you to Curtis Isaki from Sound of Hockey and Deep Sea Hockey for this breakdown that I took from. The Kraken will have the following picks in this year's draft. In the first round, we'll be taking pick 8. We have 2 picks in the second round, pick 38 and pick 57. That second pick came from the Tampa Bay trade, and they got that pick from Toronto. We have no picks in the third round. The fourth round, we have 2, however. We have pick 102 and pick 126. That second pick, again, we picked up with the Kaapo Kakko trade from New York. They got that pick from Dallas. Fifth round, we have pick 134, nothing in the sixth, and the seventh round, we have pick 198. So when we get to draft day coming up here in a couple weeks, we're just going to have to wait and see if new Kraken GM Jason Botterill ends up trading away one of these picks to make some sort of juicy big move happen, or if we're going to have a whole bunch of new baby squids on this roster. And speaking of the draft, the Kraken announced on Sunday that they have signed 2023 fifth-round pick Caden Hamill to a 3-year entry-level contract with a $908,333 AAV. In his most recent season playing for the Everett Silvertips, the D-man had 10 goals and 28 assists in 59 regular season games. And then in 13 postseason games, he had 4 goals and 9 assists. So, very exciting over these last few weeks. We had first Tyson Jugnoth, and now we have Caden Hamill coming through. Seeing these prospects come up to the AHL level is going to be very exciting. And that's it for this week. That is our free agent deep dive and our news roundup. Now we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with all those players you mentioned before. Heather, as we get out of here, could you let everyone know what we have lined up for the next week?
From us next week, we'll be recapping the PWHL expansion draft, and we just cannot wait to meet our first batch of players for our brand new team. And in case you've missed it, I've done a couple of short little PWHL mini episodes both last week and the week before to kind of get you ready for the expansion draft and for what's coming up. So take a listen to those, and we'll have some more of those little mini episodes coming up soon too.
Awesome. And Derek, can you let everyone know where they can find BTW online?
Absolutely, Matt. But first, if you are missing the Kraken this summer and want to represent your favorite team in style, make sure to go check out all of our Kraken-themed t-shirts, tank tops, or sun hat designs at bit.ly/BTW store. That's bit.ly/BTWSTORE. And if you're listening to a small to mid-sized Kraken podcast in the summer, I assume you're a pretty dedicated fan. We are too. We are all over the place: YouTube, X, Instagram, and most major podcasting platforms. It's completely free to you and would make our day, so join us everywhere at BTWSEA. If you found this episode entertaining, please drop a follow and leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. And thank you for listening, and we all hope you have an amazing day. See you next week.
We going beneath